For almost as long as there have been schools, educators have pointed to a student's socioeconomic background as the greatest determinant of or excuse for why some succeed and others don't. It's an explanation that makes last week's report from the Education Trust New York all the more puzzling and damning. How could homeless kids in New York City, bouncing from shelter to shelter or living out of a car, do as well or better on average than Buffalo Public Schools students who never have been homeless? Granted, Buffalo's kids as a whole are a little bit poorer than New York City's. State data pegs 79% of Buffalo's students as economically disadvantaged, compared to 71% in New York City. Nor is Buffalo alone in underperforming compared to homeless kids downstate. Rochester and Syracuse fared much worse in the comparison. But the 8-point gap in poverty is not enough to explain the test score disparity, and the fact that other districts are doing even worse doesn't excuse Buffalo's poor performance. According to the report, 21% of New York City's homeless kids and 41% of students who had never been homeless passed the state's 2015-16 English exam. That compares to 10% of Buffalo's homeless pupils, and just 18% of Buffalo students who were never homeless. In math, 19% of New York City's homeless and 40% of its never homeless students passed, compared to just 7% of Buffalo's homeless and 18% of its never homeless kids. One explanation is that New York City has put a big emphasis on educating its homeless population, said Abgia Midha, Deputy Director of the Education Trust New York. That emphasis includes intense tracking of students from a young age, starting in kindergarten and first grade and not waiting until state tests begin in third grade, she said. And it means providing social and academic support, such as encouraging kids to do homework in after-school programs where it's quieter than in a homeless shelter. New York City also has focused on community schools that stay open nights and weekends and provide extra services. In Buffalo, the Community Schools Initiative is relatively new, she said by way of contrast. In fact, it didn't arrive until Superintendent Kreiner Cash was hired in 2015. That was long after Michael Bloomberg took control of New York City's schools while mayor. Samuel L. Radford III, president of the District Parent Coordinating Council, one of the partners in the report, noted that much of New York City's improvement came during Bloomberg's tenure. What was Buffalo doing during that time? Arguing over who should or shouldn't be superintendent, and hemming and hawing over mayoral control. Now Cash points to mental health supports in schools, universal pre-kindergarten and smaller class sizes, as well as community schools with their after-school and Saturday programming as part of the effort to put a huge bear hug around all of our students. He also cites Say Yes Buffalo's wraparound services. Those are the supports vulnerable kids need regardless of where they live.